everybody.
Hello.
Back in the day when every neighborhood had a shopping center, and the back of that shopping center was a video store, and in the back of that video store was where they kept all the good stuff that stood the test of time. Those are the back rack videos. I'm Spike,
I'm Chris.
and this week in the back racks we're going to be looking at, well, not necessarily the stuff way in the back, but the stuff back in 2022. This is the year in review. We are recording on January 1st, 2023.
We are going to look over everything that came out of 2022, and I came up with 20 movies, and I'm going to start with the worst all the way down to the best. So I'm going to start at 20 and count down all the way to number 1.
And I'll be sitting here giving feedback along the way because, quite frankly, I haven't seen a lot of these. I don't get out and watch movies as much as I used to. I don't subscribe to all these services and stuff. I just won't. And one of the few times I did a trial subscription to Apple TV so I could see Luck, just to see how John Lasseter was doing over with Skydance Entertainment, and I actually liked it, but it wasn't enough to get me to stick around with Apple. But hey, so let's hop on Chris's list. You're going to be taking lead on this one, buddy. It's your turn this week.
Now, just so you all know, on this list, these are things I have seen. Some of them he has seen. Okay, so like Avatar, the new Avatar movie, will not be on this list because I have not seen it.
And I don't want to see it. And he don't want to see it. And we don't want to see it.
Yeah, so...
We don't want to see the first one either. That's why there'll be no backrack videos in Avatar 1. So,
so anyway.
Might be one on the real Avatar, but...
Yeah.
No.
Alright, so remember, there's 20 of these.
Worst to first.
We're going to start from worst to the first, okay? So, number 20, count down all the way to 1. Number 20 is the worst. So
what is number 20?
Halloween Ends.
Yeah, that'd be the worst.
I had no passion to go see Halloween, but somebody made me go watch it. And I was like, oh, it's going to be the same thing over and over again. And by my surprise, it was not the same pattern, but different, tad bit better, but it would have been better if it was its own story and had nothing to do with Michael.
It had very little to do with Michael Myers.
Yes.
It had everything to do with his wannabe.
Michael Myers showed up. If you put the scenes with him in it, you'll probably get about 15 minutes. And it turns out he has special abilities. Okay. Apparently, if he kills somebody, he gets stronger. Okay. It was just so stupid. I'm just going to say, it was stupid.
You're going to notice a recurring theme with some of these down here at the low end of the scale. Fan fiction.
Yeah, that's right.
This Halloween Ends was fan fiction, and not in a good. There is actually a few fanfics out there that are actually worth a poot, but this would not be one of them.
Now, I'd also want to say, and this has nothing to do with what we're talking about, but I really hope that when I stood up, my back somehow moved him. Because he was not. I don't know if you guys can see this, but he's looking right at
Willy
me.
Willy Wonka is sitting on the edge of my bookcase and is currently looking and judging Chris. So
I really hope I moved him when I was standing there.
No, I don't think you touched him.
Don't say that.
Anyway.
Don't say that.
I know you didn't touch the Captain America thing, and he's turned away in disgust from you. He was looking at you before. But anyway.
Number 19, The Lost City. The Lost City is the new Sandra Bullock and, what is his name? It had Brad Pitt in it. What can I think? Magic Mike, dude.
Oh,
Oh, what is his name? Why am I having a trouble
Mark.
with
Mark, what's his face?
It's not Mark. Is it Mark? No. What is
It was
it?
Marky Mark and the Funky
Anyways.
Bunch.
The Lost City is basically a movie about a writer who writes about, she makes novels based off of like this adventure romance thing, and then there's a fan who's also the bad guy, and that's played by Daniel Radcliffe. That's right, Harry Potter. And apparently, what she writes is somehow a map, or she creates this idea of a map and a lost treasure and stuff like that, but it turns out it's all true. And one of the fans who's rich and kidnaps her and has her tell him like where it is through her writing, and I don't know, it was stupid. It's a really horrible remake of Romancing the Stone.
Which was itself a horrible remake of a whole bunch of Humphrey Bogart movies back in the 40s.
Oh, I
Like
did not know that.
the African Queen,
Oh,
among others. That was what it drew upon.
But yeah, The Lost City was horrible. Yeah, I'm just saying that.
I did not see it, so I shall not judge. Move on.
Number 18, The Gray Man. This is a movie on Netflix with Gosling and Chris Evans, where it's like a spy versus spy, or hitman versus hitman. I really don't know exactly what the heck they are, but it's like, oh, Chris Evans has to capture Gosling and get him back, and it's like this huge action film that had not really any plot, made no sense. And Chris Evans, even though I love Chris Evans, he tried to play this really cocky attitude bad guy, you know? Like he tried to make jokes and like acted all weird when he's like trying to like I don't know. It was just it's not
Didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work.
I didn't see that one either. So up to 17, I think.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna bet this number 17 is not a bad movie. This is called The Adam Project. This stars Ryan Reynolds and Zoe Zade.
Zoe. Yes. Zoe Zeldana.
Yes, Zoe Zeldana. Thank you. It's basically this movie about there's some really bad stuff happening in the future where he gets blamed for something, and he goes back in time, meets his kid self, and honestly, I got lost in the plot. I don't know exactly what it was all about. It was just it wasn't bad. It wasn't too good, but it wasn't bad. Ryan Reynolds is funny, like always. I will say the best part of the movie is the kid that actually plays Ryan Reynolds' younger self. Because you know how Ryan Reynolds is. Alright?
Mm-hmm.
Just like Deadpool. This kid, woo! They found the right person to play his younger self. Let's just say that. So yeah, The Adam Project, number 17.
Okay. I don't think I've even heard of that one, but
That's not
that's right.
bad.
Go ahead.
Number 16 is Uncharted. Starring Tom
Heard of
Holland,
that.
Mark Wahlberg. This
That's
was a
Marky
movie.
Mark.
Okay, so when we heard that they were making an Uncharted movie, fans were excited. I was one that was excited because we also thought Nathan Fillion was actually going to come back and going to play Nathan Drake, where he did the voice of the video games and stuff, and the likeness as well. But no, they said, we're going to get Tom Holland. Spider-Man himself is going to play Nathan Drake. And people were like, I kind of don't like this casting, but Tom Holland does surprise you, so maybe it'd be alright. And then for Sully, they got, instead of getting an old guy, they got Mark Wahlberg. And everybody's like, I don't know about that either.
Quick question for everybody at home watching or listening to it on podcast. What do you remember Mark Wahlberg from? Do you remember Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch? Do you remember Mark Wahlberg from the movies, or do you remember Wahlburgers?
Honestly, for me, it's the movies. I've heard the rest of them, but the movies is the only thing that I would actually care about.
That shows what the thing is. Mark Wahlberg, my golly, I'm impressed with what he's done with his career. Mark Wahlberg has what you would call an eclectic career, where he basically does what he wants to do. It's a nice position to be in,
Sure.
but Wahlberg also shows the pitfall of that, because it can get pretty weird where he winds up sometimes. Because last I saw his face on a box of frozen meat at a Walmart. That's the last place I saw Marky Mark. So, yeah. Okay, so what we got next?
Alright, let's see. Number 15 is Scream. Number 5? Is it 5? Scream,
Don't you know it make me wanna scream? Ah.
Scream was
Played out.
Yeah.
Scream is played out, okay? The self-referential humor was cute 10 years ago. Now it's just played out. Everybody... Scream 1 got away with it because 1, nobody saw it coming. 2, everybody had their expectations and their prejudices about slasher flicks, and this was able to subvert and pervert and overt and just vert every single one of them. You can only do it once. Scream was a one-trick pony. I know Scream franchise has its fans. Scream 1 was good. Everything else sucked because they were all just variations on a theme.
Yeah.
And it gets so tiresome so fast. And I'm going to take a bunch of other people off too. Saw, same exact thing. The first one was good. The rest of them were idiotic.
They just wanted to slash stuff.
They were cashing a check.
Glory.
They were cashing a check.
Scream had the original cast, of course, coming back, and this time the victims are actually the victim was the daughter of the bad guy from the first one. So, for some reason with these Scream movies, it's like it all has to connect. Instead of just some guy out there going like, hey, you know what? I want to kill people. I think I'll use this as a reference. You know, total stranger, nobody actually like related or has anything to do with the original thing. But no, they have to always keep it all connected, just like Star Wars. Yeah, so it wasn't good.
I'll give you a last word on Scream. You remember Freakazoid?
Oh yeah.
You can watch Freakazoid on Tubi for free, by the way, the streaming service, TUBI. Freakazoid. There was one episode where they did it in TerraVision or something, and it was supposed to be their spooky Halloween episode. And so they would get to a certain point, and then something spectacularly scary was supposed to happen, and they'd have a little prompt on the bottom of the screen. It was the word Scream, and some idiot off camera would go, Scream. And then you're supposed to sit there and scream or something. Ever since Scream 1 first came out, every time I see the movie, the title, its references, or just the title itself being said out loud, or anybody attached to this, I hear Scream, and it just does nothing for me. So
That's funny.
So thank you, Freakazoid. You've managed to run something else in my adult. I appreciate that.
Next is where are we? 14.
Scream. Yeah.
14, Slumberland. This is another Netflix original movie that has Jason Momoa. Basically, it's about this little girl who has a wonderful life working. She doesn't really go to school. She doesn't go to public school. She works with her dad at a lighthouse in the middle of like the Pacific, somewhere out there.
Mhm.
And her dad disappears because he also works with like one of those crew that, like, if there's trouble out there, like a boat goes down, they have to go out and rescue the people. Apparently, he goes out there in a storm, disappears, dies.
And because he's Aquaman, yeah.
No, it's not Aquaman.
Oh, okay.
This is another guy. So she starts having these dreams. She's brought from there to the city, has to go to public school and all that. She starts having these dreams of this magical land, and this magical character, played by Jason Momoa, who's like has horns and hooves and stuff like that, is trying to get some information because apparently her dad had something, so he's trying to find it because it's going to help him do something. I can't remember the plot.
Neither could they.
The movie itself was okay, but it was so predictable. You knew what was going to happen. And that's all I'm going to say. It's not a movie for little children. I don't know where they was going for this at all. So, anyway.
Yeah. It's one of those Netflix throwaways that
Yeah.
probably won't make them a dime, but it feeds their algorithms. So
Controversial. Number
13.
13. Thank you. Number 13, Thor: Love and Thunder.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies that seemed like a good idea at the time to exactly nobody ever. This was, hey, Chris Hemsworth's not going to do this forever. Let's start replacing him. They are actually, you can actually see them ripping pieces out of Chris Hemsworth throughout this movie just to drag him back down so that way he won't ask for much on the next project he does.
Yeah.
It was not good.
It wasn't good. Like, there's some parts of it that was good, and then there's a lot of parts that was like, I can do without this. Like, annoying. The goats was annoying. The God Killer was not that. I liked his background story and how he became the God Killer, but at the same time, he wasn't impressive enough. If that makes any sense.
Yeah, I understand.
And I know this is actually the girl that plays. I forgot whose daughter she was. She was kind of annoying. Yeah, there was just.
Yeah, it was that's pretty much the word that summarizes this: annoying.
Yeah.
This is the second fanfic on the list.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is somebody who knows nothing about the franchise, couldn't care less about the franchise, dumps all over the franchise, and then can walk away from the franchise.
Yes.
Enough said.
Yeah. Number 12, Chippendale Rescue Rangers. This movie,
Oof.
I will tell you what I like about it. The movie, it's the first time I've seen a movie like this in a very long time that had kind of that Who Framed Roger Rabbit feel. There's a lot of people that like this movie, except listen, I don't care. If you want to change things just a little bit, I'm fine with that. I am fine with that. However, I'm used to their voices being their voices. Okay? I had this problem with when they redid the whole Scrooge McDuck and all of them. Like, Huey, Dewey, and Louie, their voices did not sound like that. You know, they talked regular in this cartoon. And I was just like, it kind of just ruins it a little bit to me. You know, it does.
Mm-hmm.
I got to admit. And that's what happened with this. There was a lot of things I did like, but there was a lot of things that was just like, okay, that was just stupid, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't like Chippendale because it was like they took away the humor that was there and the magic. So yeah, that's why it's kind of on my poo list.
So this is the basically the third fan fiction of this. Okay, and this is where you take an existing print. You take this was the poster child for 2022 of completely disrespecting an intellectual property. Chippendale Rescue Rangers has its fans. I'm one of the fans. I actually like the show. I've actually watched the show recently. This show was done again by a bunch of people who don't know the franchise, don't respect the franchise, couldn't care less about the franchise, dumped all over the franchise, and then were able to walk away from the franchise.
Yeah.
This is one of those movies that is the reason why Disney is losing its shirt right now. Nobody in America, nobody anywhere on the planet wants to see this movie anymore. It had 0 legs, it had 0 heart, it had 0 in its head, and it was just an excuse to wipe your butt with somebody else's intellectual property and then go on your merry way just to show how superior you were to what those idiots did in the 80s. Those know-nothing numbnuts. So, dismissed, gone. So we're at what? We're moving up to number 11, so that means we've done 9 movies and 3 of them are fan fiction. That shows you what 22's been like, folks.
Number 11.
Number 11.
Doctor Strange into the whatever
Multiverse
verse.
of Madness.
Yeah.
Which I have to admit, I had more of a. Of course, I've always been kind of a Doctor Strange fan, so it's kind of a soft spot for me. Unfortunately, the soft spot's not in my heart; it's in the back of my head. And this movie proved it. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was I was not a fan of Doctor Strange. I never was a fan because it was confusing to me. This movie, did it have some cool elements? Yes. Did it have some cool ideas? Yes. Honestly, I didn't care about Doctor Strange or even the evil Doctor Strange. I do know what ruined it for me. What If series. The What If series took everything that they had on Doctor Strange, and that's exactly what they had in this movie.
Yeah,
I've seen it.
This wasn't a sequel to the first Doctor Strange movie. This is a sequel to the What If series.
Yeah.
It really was. That's what it was.
And
WandaVision.
And like, yeah, like even Scarlet Witch. I liked the fact that she goes, off her hinges. But after a while, it kind of just got stupid. And I'm like, with all the magic you guys know, you can't stop her. All she wanted was one thing. That was to see her kids. You tell me you could not put a mind spell or something to trap her in her own mind, put her in a coma to where she's always with her kids. I mean, she would have went with that.
Wanda would have been quite happy with that, as a matter of fact. As long as she had her husband and her kids, she would have been just fine. Yes, by all means, just cloud her mind and just throw her in a dungeon somewhere where she can't get loose and leave her there. Marvel's done far worse to their female protagonists over the years.
So yeah, that was okay. So that was the top last 10.
That was the bottom 10.
Yes. Now we're getting into the good ones. Except even though this one will probably not be an actual good one.
It shows you what our class of 2022 was like.
I will say our
number 10.
Our when we get lower, you'll be like, oh my goodness. Okay.
We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll see about that.
All right, number 10. Okay, don't laugh. You're gonna laugh at this.
I
After what we
probably
just
will
went
laugh.
through, you're like, wait, this is number
I'll
10.
chuckle probably. Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
I actually am not going to laugh at that.
Oh,
I was
okay.
actually impressed with Sonic 2 because, okay, what have I been complaining about? Disrespectful to the original IP.
Yeah.
Just mistreat the IP. Dump all over it, walk away, no consequence. Sonic 2 respects the original IP. Attempted to update it for modern audiences.
Yeah.
Treated it honestly with tongue in cheek a little bit because that's why you had Jim Carrey there. Gave it a little tongue in cheek, just like, yeah, we know it's ridiculous, but just go with it, okay?
Yeah,
Trust us on this. And as you progress through the movie, you actually find yourself actually cheering for these little guys because it's like, dang, they are putting up with an awful lot of crap here. And then, of course, Jim Carrey comes in and chews the scenery that's not being blown apart by Sonic burrowing through it. It was actually a decent. Will it win an Oscar?
No.
No. Should it win an Oscar? No. But is it good for eating buttered popcorn and having a nice cold carbonated beverage? Yes.
Yes.
And can you bring the kids to it? Absolutely can. Those are in rare supply nowadays. By all means, Sonic 2, yeah, I would put that in my top 10 for the year.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not going to laugh at that one.
Sonic 2 was good. The only thing, and this is kind of a small thing, but the only thing I did not like about it was the lack of Jim Carrey's character. Because in the first Sonic, which also blew me away, like it really blew me away, Jim Carrey, it was so great to have the original Jim Carrey back.
The manic Jim Carrey.
Yeah. And then the second one, he kind of toned it down a little bit, which kind of made me a little depressed about that.
Jim Carrey's what, pushing 60 by now?
Yeah, but he's still goofy. He still has it. And not to mention, the second film had this one thing in it that blew me away because to me, they stole the movie. And that was the sister-in-law.
Yeah.
The sister-in-law.
And that, honestly, that's something that's been happening in a lot of Hollywood, and I just fussed about it because, token black characters.
Oh, the sassy black.
The sassy black lady. But this one, they carried it off because they didn't take it seriously. She was there, and nobody treated her as a threat until she turned around and made them give it to a second. If you do that second tape jump scare, believe me, being married to the beloved, because we just celebrated our 30th anniversary. Happy anniversary, sweetie.
Congratulations, buddy.
Being married to a scary black woman for the last 30 years. I know that look, and I'm going to get it when I come out of the library here.
Yeah.
But it's...
I'm going to be gone. I'm out. I'm jump out the window. I'm like, oh.
I know what that look is, so I can understand why people have the double takes. Yeah, that was where it actually worked, whereas the other one earlier in the list did not. That one was actually good. And again, helped steal... Anybody who can get in there and jump in and steal the movie from what the writers and directors had intended, if you can get in there and start stealing scenes and stuff, do it because it adds to the enjoyment. Too many people get away with it, yeah, it kind of starts dissembling into a mess, but if you've got one person who can consistently steal, William Shatner used to be able to do that. He could steal a scene here and there, so... Then and Ricardo Montalban used to be able to do the same thing. So then when they did Star Trek 2, you had these two guys who were just sitting there munching on furniture and stuff for like 3 hours, and everybody's like, yeah. And there are people who still yell, Khan! And it's been 40 years. It really has been 40 years since we're at the con. I gotta stop because I knew as soon as I said con, it would stretch one of my sutures. But it was worth it. Go ahead.
All right, so that was number 10. Number 9 is Black Adam.
I honestly probably would have put Sonic 2 ahead of Black Adam, but Black Adam...
Yeah, I made a mistake on that one. I apologize.
No. That's all right.
Now that I think about it, I was like, we just talked about this.
Black Adam is one of those things that was long delayed. It's delayed gratification. Was it perfect? No.
No.
I'm hesitant to call this fan fiction. This is closer to what a reimagining of an updating of an intellectual property would be, because again, every character in this movie, except for Amanda Waller and the two walk-ons, are at least 75 years old. Every one of these intellectual properties are, and Stargirl. No, Stargirl was not in this one.
No.
No, it was Tornado. But the character Red Tornado was based on is 75 years old. All of these characters originated in the 40s, and all of these characters, people think they have to be updated because they're that old, they must be updated. We were talking about the younger Miss Marple and why I said that was such a horrid idea.
Yeah.
And geeking out. Same thing here. Take your characters. Black Adam, yes, Black Adam was a very one-dimensional character until the last 15, 20 years, honestly. But all the other characters, you don't need to adjust them that much. I honestly admit, I was impressed as heck. You know who stood out for me in this entire cast? And it wasn't Black Adam, and it wasn't Henry Cavill's Superman. It was the guy playing Hawkman. That was the best Hawkman I have ever seen in anything outside of a comic book.
I can't remember.
He is the one closest. He carried it off, the super macho, I can take it, here, hit me, let me take the slings and arrows while everybody else is able to go out and accomplish their missions. Let me lead with, talk about leading with your chin. This Hawkman led with his chin, and this is the closest I've seen to being honest and just honestly getting the character.
I can't remember his name, but I've always thought he should do more movies. But he was in a movie called The Perfect Score, which had Scarlett Johansson and Chris Evans. But he's more well known for that that TV show. What's the show about the criminals that ended up? He was on Ion and
Leverage?
Leverage.
Okay.
Yeah, he was the computer tech on Leverage.
Oh, was he?
Yeah.
Oh my God, I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Leverage. So yeah, but yeah, he's always been a pretty good actor. He's just needs to do more stuff.
Okie dokie. So move on.
Yeah. Where were we? Oh, number 8.
Yes, number 8.
Okay. You got it?
Yeah, there he is.
And it's hot.
I honestly never made the connection. And he was in Underground too. Okay, that's right. That's right. Okay.
Number 8 is Jurassic World Dominion. Now, I love the Jurassic Park franchise. I'm one of those that, for some reason, I don't understand why the second one got the hate. I liked the second one. I hated the third one.
Jurassic. The third one.
Yeah, Jurassic World, I thought was brilliant because you actually got to see the park. I loved that. You got to see the park and how everything goes wrong. It introduces Chris Pratt's character and Bryce Dallas Howard's character, and it was one of those like love and hate type of things, but at the end you ended up loving it. Fallen Kingdom, I think it was the one after that kind of I hated the plot because you end up getting the dinosaurs released out into the public, but the whole cloning of the little girl thing really bothered me. It really bothered me. But Dominion, there was certain parts that I really loved about it because it had the adventure. I loved the whole the whole look of dinosaurs kind of blending in with the other species that are from that species. You know? I loved that. It was so amazing. There's one shot that, I love this shot, but it was where like the horse, there's a bunch of horses running through the field, and then I don't know what kind of dinosaurs that they were, but they just blended in with them and started running with them, and I'm just like, oh, that was amazing. And then there's parts of it that I did hate, like the clone girl. She's like, you can't tell me what to do. You're not my real parents and stuff like that. I'm like, oh, I hope you get eaten. I hated you from the last one. I don't like you now. And then there's some other stuff that was kind of just like, eh. But you get to see an underground world where they take some of these animals and use them as like, stupid stuff. It was a fun movie. You had the original cast come back. But yeah, it was fun. It wasn't the best. Uh-oh.
Did it die on us? Yeah, it died on us. Go ahead and keep going, Chris. We'll talk to the... We finally killed the battery
Oh no.
on the camera, so...
Oh no.
That's all right. We'll go ahead and finish it up on here. Go ahead, Chris.
So yeah. Jurassic World Dominion was number 8. Number 7, The Batman.
Ugh.
I am a huge Batman fan. I love Batman. I eat and breathe Batman. However, this movie, even though there was some good stuff about it, there was also some things that I thought was just dumb. Like the Riddler pretending to be the Joker. I know that's not what he was doing, but his attitude, the way he was acting, reminded me of the Joker. Mm. And then at the end of the movie, you had to put the Joker in there, and that also made me really angry because enough with the Joker, okay? Also, I don't know why the city is always why does Gotham City always have to be trashy? There's trash everywhere. They used one elevator during the entire time of the entire movie, and there's trash bags on the elevator. Why? I just... But the cinematography, I love. There's some cool aspects of like some of the things he used. It was pretty cool. Like I love the eye thing, the eye camera. But yeah, it's not the best Batman I've ever seen. Definitely not. I've seen way better. Tim Burton, Christopher Nolan, you guys still got it. So yeah.
Yeah, I never saw the Batman, and honestly, by this point, I've seen so much Batman, I'm kind of like ready to put Batman on the shelf for a little while and try something else for a while. It's like you get this. It's like you start liking Pepsi and you start drinking Pepsi and you drink Pepsi every day, and eventually it just starts burning your mouth and you're tired of it, and then you see Mountain Dew and you want to try a Mountain Dew for a while, and then you do the same thing with that.
Yeah.
It's been a good, Lord, 30-year run for Batman. Time to put Batman back up on the shelf for a little while and move on.
Yeah, I agree. Until we get another.
And honestly, it's probably time to put.
Nolan.
Yeah, probably about time to put the whole DC thing on ice for a little bit. Let it chill up, let it chill out, let it firm back up, and then bring it back. So.
All right. Number 6 is a movie I have not seen, but you have.
Yeah.
Top Gun Maverick.
Okay, now I've seen, we've talked before, we've done reviews over on Geeking Out for Top Gun, God, I can't even think it was Top Gun Afterburn or whatever it was called. The Top Gun Maverick. It's not a shot-for-shot remake, but there are parallels throughout both movies. And so anybody who's seen the first movie and is a fan of the first movie has seen the first movie more than once. And so they know all the little beats and everything. They're able to recognize it in the new one. It really served as a touchstone for 2022. because it just took everything Hollywood had been pushing up to that point, set it aside and say, step aside, hold my soy latte, let me do this. Goes up there, punches everybody out for 2.5 hours solid, comes back, and that soy latte is fermented into a beer, and they just go out and cruise for chicks the rest of the night. It's the kind of thing Hollywood doesn't want to promote, but it's what Hollywood needs in order to survive. This is Hollywood lifeblood.
Yeah. So now you guys are probably wondering why this is on my list, even though I have not seen it. It's on my list because everybody is talking about this movie, and my brother here, who he literally told me, he's like, you gotta watch this movie. It's really, really good. It surprised me and all that stuff, which tells me that this movie must be really, really good. So, let's face it, I love my brother, but he hates everything. he hates the norm. So if this is something that needs to be talked about, then it's on my list. So yeah.
And yeah, it absolutely deserves to be in the top 20. It deserves to be in the top 10. It deserves to be somewhere up in your top 5, honestly. But we'll see what you've done.
Well, that's because I haven't
Let's see
seen
what
it.
you've done. Yeah.
All right, number 5.
Yeah.
I've talked about this before, but Glass Onion, the sequel to Knives Out. The first Knives Out really actually impressed me. This one here, the first time I watched it, I didn't like how it started off because all these characters are really, really stupid. But then as it progressed throughout the movie, that's when the real story hits. And you're just like blown away and you're like, whoa, 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 you know? And then I watched it a second time and I'm like, this movie is brilliant. If you stop and think about it, it's really brilliant. So I actually loved it. It's a must-see movie because when you get to a certain character's story and it progresses all the way to the end, you're just sitting there like, this is just genius. So yeah, Glass Onion, Knives Out 2 is fantastic.
Okay. Now I have this one. This is probably the most recent one on the list because it just came out last week or
yeah.
last week of the year. Knives Out was the mystery movie for people who hated mystery movies. I believe is the way I referred to it back in 2019 when it came out.
Yeah.
Because we talked about this on Geeking Out back then. I remember this because I did eventually sit down and watch it, and for a fan, an aficionado of the mystery genre, this goodbye bye. The mystery genre. For someone who knows all the little cues and all the little picks and all the other little things, Knives Out was no big shakes. For people who don't normally get into mysteries, it was a mind-blowing event. So that's why I'm not so sure about Glass Onion. It's another Netflix original, and hey, more power to him because that guy Daniel's going to need something new to do because he doesn't have 007 to do anymore apparently.
Yeah.
So it's good to see him with. It's kind of odd to see him going into another franchise, but this one's custom built for him. But we'll see what happens. I have not seen Glass Onion yet. Not really going to seek it out, but because, like I said, not my cup of tea. But we'll see. We'll see how this one shakes out in the grand scheme of things, and whether it justifies that high perch. So, moving on.
Number 4. Listen. I cannot explain this movie to you. This is one of those movies that you have to actually watch. The movie is called Everything Everywhere All at Once.
I've heard of this, but I haven't seen it.
I have been dying to see this movie because it just seemed wild. And it wasn't showing up here at the theater. I had to actually look for it when it came to, you know, Amazon Prime. I had to rent it. This is a movie that everybody started to talk about, and I was like, wow, it must be really good if everybody's talking about it. And then when I sat there and watched it, I was like, whoa, this is crazy. It is funny. It is mesmerizing. It is really well told, and it definitely takes you, like, it's one of those that you have to sit and watch so you don't miss nothing, and you will not be disappointed in how things work out. So yeah, this is one of those movies that's definitely like you have to see it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Man, like I said, I've heard of it. I haven't seen it. I've heard it is a very oppressive movie. And it's also one of those that's really hard to define. So
Yes.
maybe I do need to sit down and check this out and see what it's about.
Number 3. Again, you're gonna laugh at this one, but I will say, well done to James Gunn. Well done to Marvel and Disney Plus. Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas Special. Or, I'm sorry, it's called Holiday Special.
Yeah, because nobody at Disney is going to use the word Christ in any way, shape, or form as
Yeah.
long as these idiots are in charge. Right.
This movie, or I don't know what to call it. It's not a series. It's not really a movie. It's like, it's just a special event.
Mm-hmm.
It's funny. It is really good. There's also something in there that, you know how like they have to like add what goes into the next movie? There's something in this movie that does that. It's not big, but if you stop and think about it, you're like, oh wow, how did I not put that together? Because it makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it has to do with like, Quill's dad and what he did in the last Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a well done episode, and it was really good.
Yeah. That's another one I haven't actually seen yet because I don't watch Disney Plus. So it's one of those destination shows that these streamers are trying to do to try to get people to pay attention. And I'll just take your word on it that it's worth watching. So.
All right, I got 2 left.
2 to go.
So what is the best 2 movies of 2022?
Well, we know they're both movies, right?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Number 2 is Bullet Train.
I remember you going on and on about this when it came out. And, oof.
Dude. Okay. This Bullet Train is fun, wild, crazy, beautiful. I mean, the cinematography. The fact that they did this all on a train. Really good. I have seen this movie. I kid you not. I have seen this movie 8 times now. Same thing with number 1. I've seen this 8 times now. Bullet Train has Brad Pitt, has Sandra Bullock, has I can't remember the other 2.
Yeah, I'm fine. Go ahead.
But yeah, they Bullet Train is amazing. Has a lot of fun. It's just wild. It's a wild ride on a train. So yeah, it's definitely a must watch. If you love a good action comedy with a crazy story twist and everything else, you'll love it. And Brad Pitt was excellent in this movie because he's like one of those that he's an assassin that he thinks he has bad luck, but he actually has kind of good luck because every time something bad happens, it kind of twists and it goes back to the other person. So it's like, It's just really funny.
So this is one of those popcorn movies.
It's definitely
It's an excuse to eat popcorn. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So that's my number 2.
So what's your number 1?
Nope.
I've actually. Go ahead and talk about Nope, and then I'll give my feedback on this one.
Nope is the new movie from Jordan Peele. It is not a horror movie. It's not necessarily a science fiction film. This is like an homage to an old creature film. You know, like Creature from the Black Lagoon and stuff like that type of deal. This is just a wild story that is also very simple at the same time. It's one of those things where, like, if you said, hey, I have this crazy idea for a movie, and you're pitching it, they're going to be like, this movie is not going to make money. This movie is going to be stupid. That's pretty much what this movie sounds like, but when you watch it, the visual, the acting, the story itself, the way how wild it actually, and wild, crazy, I want to say batshit crazy, to be honest. That's pretty much what this is.
That pretty much describes it, yeah.
Will just make your jaw drop, and you just, like, I saw this really crazy movie. You got to go watch it. Like, this is a talk about movie. And honestly, it's something that you've never seen before. Like, I will put this up there with classic creature movies like Tremors. You know? Tremors is one of those movies that is like so wild and crazy. Why is this a pop culture film? You know?
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what this is. And everybody is talking about this movie. I have not, every review I've seen from critics and stuff are saying, there's something about this movie. I love it. And that's what this is. It's something different. I've never seen nothing like this before. And that's why it's my number 1. Because it's different, it's original, it's a piece of art. It's a piece of film art. Number 1 all the way. Best movie of 2022.
Jordan Peele really came of his own here. It's not a perfect movie by any stretch of the imagination, but then it doesn't have to be perfect. It has to be good. And the perfect is the enemy of the good. So yeah, you can sit here and you can pick the flaws apart. I did like Nope. I don't know what in the world I'm thinking. I did like Nope. I would put it in my top 5 for the year. Yeah. How well it stands up to repeated viewings, I don't know. I haven't seen it again yet.
I watched it 8 times.
I've watched it 8 times. So, but this is one of those where you're always going to notice new details.
Yes.
So
and
it's and the thing is, Jordan Peele went through and he put so many details into it that it does draw you in, and you become obsessed like that. And it's an experimental style of storytelling.
Yes.
And that's something that is in such short supply.
Yes.
Fortunately, Jordan Peele's gotten to the point where he's got the stroke in Hollywood. He can get away with this. Most people who would want to try to do this just don't have that stroke yet. He does. Peele, to me, what's really going to be the outstanding, what's going to be the biggest impact from Nope going forward is that Peele is going to be remembered. This is where he came into his own as a director, and he will start moving into more of a producer role from here. Instead, Jordan Peele's going to wind up going down that road of Steven Spielberg and George Lucas. He's a visionary, and he can actually translate it to the screen more effectively than most people can. And so I think this is where this makes a large signpost on his journey. So I think that this is what's going to be what defines him going forward. So
yes.
So yeah.
I love how you said experimental, because that's what I felt like that this movie was. Like I said, if you took this into Hollywood and pitched it, they would laugh at you, throw the script away and everything. But yes, he did it. And again, this is why I'm like going back to Tremors. That it's a simple story not a big budget. Like you can tell they didn't put a whole lot of money into this, except for the special effect of the UFO,
Mm-hmm.
and that was pretty much it.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where less is more. You
Yes.
see the aftermath. You never really see the monster.
Exactly, and that's the
And
thing.
you don't need to, because nothing Jordan Peele puts on film will ever match what you've got in your sweet little imagination,
Exactly.
which is something that one of us has been saying for the last 4 years, isn't it? Christopher.
Oh my goodness! Always have to come back to I was always right.
I was always right. So
Sheesh.
just remember that I was always right, and you'll never be wrong. So, all right. So that's I'm glad I didn't come up with a list of my own, because I don't think we can take another hour of recording this thing, because we're
Well,
55 minutes in.
See, I could have took out the last 20.
We're 55 minutes into this, and we killed our new camera with it. So, so we'll go ahead and wrap this. Chris, any final words on 2022?
Good riddance.
Yes, those are the two biggest. That's the two words I was going to say. Hey, 2022, eat a bag, okay? Hopefully 2023 gets better from here. So
I will say this, okay? And I know this sounds stupid. So far, we have not had a forest fire, nationwide fire, nationwide flooding. We had the tropical thing, but now it sounds like we're getting a heat wave that is going to be coming for a while. So I don't know if that's good or bad, but apparently it's going to be hot. So that's going to be weird and fun. But so far, so good. And New Year's, let me tell you, I watched the ball drop, and I was amazed to hear a song from the great Israel, Mr. IZ himself from Hawaii, who sung the song Somewhere Over the Rainbow.
Yeah, I love
And
that
hearing
version.
hearing the crowd of New York City singing that song, I was like blown away, and I actually started to tear up, because I was like, wow. It was amazing. So yeah, I got hopefully faith of this year will be great.
Well, this is page 1 of 365 coming up in 2023. We'll see what the next page has for us. So till then, I'm Spike.
I'm Chris.
We'll see you back in the rack show. Goodbye.
Bye.